All right. So Erica, why did you decide to purchase a garden mat?
I decided to purchase a garden mat because last year I had a lot of trouble keeping up with my weeding. And some friends came by to rescue me one day from overgrown carrots. And they told me about the garden mats. They said they had been using them for a couple years and they were really great and they didn't have to weed their gardens all the time. And that's why they had extra time to spare to come over and help me with my garden weeds. So I decided it was time to try something new. I was just tired of spending all my days weeding in the garden every single day. So when my friends told me about the mats, I went out and planned my garden around the mats, and I got the mats, and they've been working out great.
Okay, great. That was an awesome response. What am
2, 1.
All right. So Erica, why did you decide to purchase a garden mat?
Well, last year I was having a lot of trouble keeping up with the weeds, and I was spending, I think, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, just weeding and falling hopelessly behind. Some friends came over one day to help me weed the carrots, and they told me about the garden mats that they'd been using for a couple years, and I was just really fascinated by the idea. So I planned out my garden and ordered enough garden mats to cover the entire garden, and it's just been wonderful.
Great. Great. I'm going to ask now that we have the.
And say now it's 5 hours for the year.
So, let's see. Okay. Why did I purchase a garden mat? Well, last year I was having a lot of problems keeping up with the weeds, and I was spending 5 hours a day, every day, weeding, and I was just getting nowhere. I really lost the battle trying to keep up with the weeds, and some friends of mine came over one day to help me weed, and they told me about the garden mats, and they were trying them for a few years, and they did really, really well for them. So I decided to give them a try in my garden. And I planned out the garden, and I ordered enough mats for the entire garden. And it's been really great. I've only had to weed for 5 hours this entire year instead of 25 hours a week like last year.
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, now.
All right. Purchasing a garden mat.
For me, the ordering process was really easy because I live in central Vermont. My friends told me that Peter lives right here in central Vermont and that he has hours for direct purchase on Saturdays in the spring. So I looked up his hours on the internet, and then I went out there one Saturday morning. I went through all his materials online and figured out exactly which mats I would need, so I really had a good map of which mats to use where once I made my order.
Did you work directly with Peter?
I didn't work directly with Peter. I just read the information on the website and did my own calculations.
Great. Great. Once again, I'm going to ask the question, same question, one more time. Just how was the ordering process while ordering a garden mat? How was the process?
The ordering process was really easy for me because I live in central Vermont. My friends told me that Peter lives right here in central Vermont as well, and that he has hours for direct purchase in the spring on Saturdays. So I went to his website online, saw the hours, and figured out when I could go down and purchase them directly from him. And I read his materials online on the website and figured out exactly which mats I would need before I showed up for the direct purchase.
Great. And a lot of people think the garden mats might be a daunting process to lay them down, and it might just be too much work. Can you tell us, or tell this viewer, whoever the customer may be, a little bit about the process of actually laying down the garden mat? Is it easy? Is it hard?
Laying down the garden mats was really easy. What I used to do was lay down straw in between all the rows for walkways, and laying down the garden mats actually took less time than laying down straw for the walkways. And all I did was I took each mat and I set it exactly where I wanted each roll to be in the garden. And I tacked down the corners with the stakes that Peter sells together with the mats, and unrolled the mat, and as I went along I tacked down a stake every couple of feet, and that was it. Took a couple minutes for each mat.
Great. I don't even think we need to redo that one, but that was great. At what point during the gardening season did you notice a difference between not using a garden mat and using a garden mat?
At what point did I notice a difference between not using a garden mat and using a garden mat? I'd say instantly, because before we would go through and rototill at the very beginning of the season, and then when I went to put the seeds in the ground, I would often have to do a little bit of weeding. If it was just like 2 or 3 days after rototilling, there would often be so many weeds that I'd have to weed before I could put the seeds in the ground. And with the garden mats, you know, there were practically no weeds when I went to put the seeds down. So I just went along and just, you know, brushed lightly with my hand, and that was all it took, if there were any weeds at all. So it was much easier just from the beginning.
Great. In lines with that last question, if you could start it with, I noticed an immediate difference using a garden mat, something like that.
Okay.
So, like, kind of start it with that.
Okay. Let's see. So when did I notice a difference? I noticed an immediate difference using the garden mats. Before I started using the garden mats, when we would start the garden every year, we'd rototill, and then a couple days later I would go to put the seeds in the ground, and there were weeds coming up already. So it would take a long time to get the weeds out before I could start planting the seeds. And now with the garden mats, there's almost no weeds at all in order to plant the seeds. So I could maybe just brush lightly with my hands to clear whatever few weeds might be coming up. And so it was much easier to plant.
Great, great. Now that the season is coming to a close, what are some of the biggest changes that you've noticed from this year being your first year using a garden mat to last year not even having one? What is the biggest difference after you've harvested?
So what is the biggest difference between not using the garden mats and this year using them for the first time?
You can start with the biggest difference, like go right into it.
So the biggest difference is something you can't see, and that is my time. Last year I was spending 25 hours a week weeding. This year it's been 5 hours all summer. So I have a lot more time for everything else. That's really great for me. As far as the plants go, I think what I've seen is that the plants are a lot bigger. My corn is the tallest that I've ever had. The squashes are just going wild, taking over the space. The potatoes look a lot healthier. And the amount of food that I'm producing is a lot more. And I think one other thing that I've noticed is when it comes to the leaf crops like lettuce and spinach, they're a lot cleaner coming into the house. I don't have to scrub them as much. You know, there's nothing like eating spinach with dirt through it. And that doesn't happen anymore with the garden mats. I think that the plants in general, a lot of them seem to be healthier because they're not getting things, perhaps fungus spores splashed onto them from the ground. So the plants seem happier, they're producing more, and I'm a lot happier.
Good, good. That's great. Now, if somebody like you last year was, kind of stressed out about the weeding process and stuff like that, and you said you had a couple friends recommend the garden mats to you, how would you recommend the garden mats to somebody? What would you say to them if they were like, oh, should I try this product out or not? What would you say to them?
Let's see. So,
And you can take your time.
okay, I'm just trying to think how to
Sure.
start here.
You could even start with, I would recommend this product
Okay.
to somebody because.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would definitely recommend this product to anyone who gardens because, first of all, it saves a lot of time and makes gardening possible for busy people. I'm getting a lot more food out of a small amount of space, and the plants seem happier, they seem healthier. It's
Great. That's great. One thing I didn't have you do at the beginning that I'm going to have you do right now is just introduce yourself and just tell me how many years you've been gardening.
So, my name is Erica Mitchell, and I've been gardening for about 10 years here in central Vermont.
Wonderful. That's great. And now, is there anything else that I didn't touch upon with the questions that maybe you really want to just get out there? Is there anything else that you could possibly think of about the garden mats that you might want to talk about?
Okay, well, some of my friends, when I told them about the garden mats, were kind of reluctant because they said, oh, I want to feel the dirt in my fingers. And yeah, you can still get dirt in your fingers with the garden mats. There's still contact with the soil. It's not like you're separating yourself from nature. All the time when I walk through here, I see toads hopping around, there's birds all around the garden. I still get my common yellowthroats come in and help me pick worms off the cabbages. So it's still a natural place, even with the garden mats down on the ground. It just makes it easier to stay ahead of the weeds, and the plants seem happier.
Great. That's awesome. I think we have plenty.
Another thing that some of my friends have been concerned about was whether the soil would stay warm and how healthy the soil would be. And the soil seems to be plenty moist. The moisture seems to go right through the mats. The squashes, you can see them going crazy all over the garden. They're just growing wild, so they're really, really happy with this. I think perhaps the mats may also keep the garden temperature a little bit warmer than an uncovered garden, and most plants really like that. In fact, I haven't seen any that don't mind the extra heat. Certainly the squashes, the cabbages, the tomatoes all seem very happy with the garden mats and the soil moisture.
Great. That's awesome. Man, I think we have definitely more than